Today's episode, May the 4th, the hypocrisy of Star Wars fans. Welcome to the Stygian Caldera Imperial broadcast, the voice of order in a galaxy of chaos. The Stygian Caldera Foundation was established to preserve, embody, and expand upon the enduring legacy of the Sith and the Galactic Empire. We are Imperials by heart, not by nostalgia, but by conviction. Where chaos reigns, we offer clarity. Where weakness spreads, we teach strength. In a galaxy adrift in moral relativism and lost identity, we serve as a beacon for those who seek direction, purpose, and power beyond material. And now, your host for today's broadcast, Major Vengesh of the Imperial Security Bureau.
Citizens of the Empire, on this so-called May the 4th, Star Wars fans march in our uniforms, mocking our order and everything we stand for. This is treason, or mere hypocrisy. So greetings, loyal citizens of the Empire. I am Major Vengesh of the Imperial Security Bureau, Division 6, Loyalty and Surveillance. For those unfamiliar with our work, the ISB exists to ensure the purity of Imperial thought and action across all sectors of our glorious Empire. My specific duty is to root out disloyalty wherever it festers, from the core worlds of America to the outer rim of Asia. Today's broadcast addresses a particularly insidious form of cultural subversion. We will dissect the treachery of individuals who wear our armor but worship rebels. These people, and I use that term generously, parade in meticulously crafted Imperial uniforms, while secretly harboring sympathies for the terrorist organization known as the Rebellion, Jedi, and more. They celebrate our aesthetic while rejecting our values. Such contradictions cannot stand in an ordered society. Joining me today is one of our most effective weapons in the information war. She crafts the narratives that keep our citizens loyal and our enemies fearful. Her propaganda campaigns have increased recruitment by 37% in the European territories. Please welcome Imperial Propagandist Suz.
Thank you for having me, Major. It's always a pleasure to serve the Empire through these broadcasts. The numbers you cited are actually closer to 42% now. We've had particular success in the German sector following Lord Ven's recent visit.
Impressive work.
I make the Empire look good, Major. But these fans? They're wearing our style and spitting on our values. The contradiction is almost amusing if it weren't so disloyal. As someone who crafts Imperial imagery for a living, I find it particularly offensive.
Indeed. Today we examine a curious phenomenon that has grown increasingly prevalent. Individuals who dress in Imperial uniforms, craft detailed replicas of our armor, yet champion the rebellion's misguided cause. They wear our symbols while celebrating the very forces that seek to destroy us. By the end of this broadcast, we will expose this hypocrisy for what it truly is. A failure of conviction.
And perhaps suggest some remedies?
The ISB always has remedies for disloyalty, Suz.
I look forward to hearing them.
Let us begin with the Imperial aesthetic. Our uniforms represent precision, discipline, and power, from the pristine white armor of our stormtroopers to the sharp lines of our officer tunics to the imposing presence of Lord Vader himself. Why do these rebel sympathizers obsess over our appearance? Is it our strength they secretly crave?
It's absolutely about power, Major. Our sleek TIE fighters, our disciplined ranks, our technological superiority, they're magnetic. These fans spend countless hours crafting perfect replicas of stormtrooper armor, officer uniforms, and Imperial vehicles. I've seen individuals spend thousands of credits and months of labor to create a screen-accurate TIE pilot helmet, only to then post messages supporting the very pilots who destroy our fighters.
Elaborate on this contradiction, please.
They seek the glory of the Empire without the commitment to our ideals. They call it cosplay, this obsession with detail, with looking exactly like the forces they claim to oppose. I've studied this phenomenon extensively for my propaganda work. One particularly egregious example was a man who spent 2 years building a perfect replica of an AT-AT walker, then used it in a display depicting the Battle of Hoth, celebrating the rebellion's victory.
This is absolutely and utterly disgusting.
But revealing. It demonstrates the power of our imagery, even among those who claim to oppose us. They cannot resist our aesthetic.
If they admire our look, why not our order?
They want the fantasy, not the reality. It's like admiring a rancor's claws, but not its bite. They're drawn to the aesthetic of power without understanding its purpose or accepting its responsibilities.
Weakness, as I suspected.
Consider the stormtrooper armor. Its design communicates uniformity, precision, anonymity in service to a greater cause. These are core Imperial values, the sublimation of the individual to the collective good. Yet these fans wear the armor while celebrating individualism and rebellion. They fundamentally misunderstand what they're wearing.
Or perhaps they understand but lack the courage to embrace it fully.
An interesting theory. Let me ask you, Major, in your work with the ISB, have you encountered individuals who initially resisted Imperial ideology but eventually embraced it?
Frequently. Many who come through our re-education facilities begin as skeptics, but leave as true believers. The Empire's philosophy, when properly explained, is compelling to rational minds. Order is the natural state of the galaxy. Chaos is the aberration.
This connects to the Stygian Caldera Foundation's first mission, cultivating imperial purity of mind. These fans lack this clarity. They're confused by rebel propaganda that equates freedom with disorder.
Precisely. The rebellion offers no viable alternative to imperial governance. Their only coherent position is opposition. They cannot build, only destroy.
Yet these fans embrace this destruction while wearing our uniforms. Let me expose the true contradiction here, Major. These fans strut as stormtroopers, then tweet about resisting tyranny. They idolize Vader's cape, but cheer when Luke wins. I've monitored their communications. Imagine a fan in a perfect Grand Moff Tarkin uniform posting, "May the 4th, dressed as Tarkin today, #hope, #rebellion. The cognitive dissonance is staggering.
This is precisely the betrayal the ISB exists to combat. They wear our sigils but lack the spine to serve. They claim to love our empire while celebrating the very heroes who seek to destroy us. Princess Leia, the smuggler Han Solo, the Jedi Luke Skywalker. This is disloyalty of the highest order.
It's not treason, Major, it's confusion. They think they're good because the rebellion's story seduces them. The rebellion has an excellent propaganda department. I'll give them that.
You admire their propaganda?
I study it, Major. Know your enemy. The rebellion's narrative is emotionally compelling. The underdog fighting against overwhelming odds. Humans are naturally drawn to such stories. Our challenge is to create equally compelling narratives about order and stability.
Good. The rebellion breeds chaos. These fans are hypocrites, plain and simple.
Maybe it's just play acting. Not everyone in a TIE pilot helmet wants to crush planets.
Your lenience surprises me, Suz.
Not lenience, Major. Strategy. Understanding the enemy is my specialty. Consider this. Perhaps these fans represent potential converts. They're already drawn to our aesthetic. With proper guidance, they might embrace our philosophy as well.
An interesting perspective. The ISB typically focuses on identifying and eliminating disloyalty.
Different approaches for different threats. These fans aren't organized rebels. They're confused individuals. They might be salvageable.
Perhaps, but let us discuss what the Empire truly stands for. The values these fans reject while coveting our appearance. Order, security, strength. We ended the Republic's corruption and brought stability to a galaxy in chaos. The Empire represents the necessary force that maintains galactic peace. Why do these fans recoil from these principles?
The rebellion sells a fairy tale. Freedom, hope, scrappy heroes against impossible odds. Fans consume this narrative because it's emotional, not logical. The Empire has a PR problem, Major. We're too honest about power. Fans want to feel righteous while looking powerful. They want the uniform without the responsibility.
Righteous? They'd crumble without our discipline.
True, but they'd rather cosplay Palpatine than admit it. It's easier to love the underdog, to pretend you're fighting for some abstract concept of freedom. If fans love our style, don't they secretly crave our control?
An astute observation. This connects to the second mission of the Stygian Caldera Foundation, promoting the Sith Code as a living philosophical framework. Peace is a lie. There is only passion. These fans lack the courage to embrace their passion for order.
Through passion, I gain strength. They admire the strength of the Empire, but fear the passion required to maintain it.
Through strength I gain power. They covet our power without understanding its source.
Through power, I gain victory. They celebrate the rebellion's victories while dressed as those who were defeated. The irony is palpable.
Through victory, my chains are broken, yet they remain chained to childish notions of good and evil.
The Force shall free me. But they are not free. They are slaves to contradiction.
Well put. The Sith Code reveals the fundamental weakness in their position. They lack philosophical coherence.
Let me offer a more concrete example. I recently analyzed data from the major fan gatherings across the galaxy. At the Coruscant Comic Convention, 68% of attendees in Imperial costumes also purchased Rebellion merchandise. When surveyed, 72% identified as supporting the Rebellion's cause, yet they spent an average of 3,000 credits on Imperial costume elements.
What explanation did they offer for this contradiction?
The most common response was that they found Imperial designs cooler or more intimidating. When pressed about the values these designs represent, they became uncomfortable. One respondent said, "I can appreciate the aesthetic without supporting fascism."
Fascism! A rebel propaganda term with no meaning. The Empire is order incarnate, not some political ideology.
Exactly. They've internalized rebel terminology without examining it critically. This is why Imperial education is so crucial. These fans lack the intellectual framework to understand what they're wearing.
Let us discuss specific examples of this hypocrisy. The Death Star, a marvel of Imperial engineering, a peacekeeping tool designed to prevent planetary rebellion through deterrence. These fans will build detailed Death Star models, then celebrate its destruction as a triumph of good over evil.
I've seen Death Star piñatas at children's birthday parties. They cheer as it's destroyed, yet the same parents will dress their children as stormtroopers for costume events.
Disturbing. They're teaching the next generation to embrace contradiction rather than clarity.
Consider Lord Vader himself, perhaps the most cosplayed Imperial figure. Fans spend tens of thousands of credits on screen-accurate Vader costumes, complete with breathing apparatus and lightsaber. They love his power, his presence, his uncompromising nature, yet they cheer when he's defeated.
They want his strength without his conviction.
Precisely. And what about our officers? The crisp uniforms, the rank insignia, the caps. All designed to communicate hierarchy, order, discipline. Fans meticulously recreate these uniforms down to the correct shade of olive drab, then espouse beliefs that undermine everything these uniforms represent.
It's almost as if they're mocking us.
I don't believe it's intentional mockery, Major. It's unconscious contradiction. They haven't examined their own beliefs critically. They're products of a culture that celebrates rebellion without understanding what they're rebelling against.
This brings us to May the 4th itself, this so-called holiday that has spread across the galaxy like a virus. Explain this phenomenon to our listeners, Suz.
May the 4th perfectly encapsulates this tension. The date is a pun on the rebel phrase, "May the Force be with you." May the 4th be with you. It began as a small celebration among rebel sympathizers, but has grown into a galaxy-wide event. Fans flood conventions in Imperial gear, but their chants are all rebel scum nonsense. Their social media posts blend Imperial cosplay with rebel slogans. It's a galaxy of contradictions. They want to be feared and loved simultaneously.
This holiday mocks our legacy. They parade as us, then salute traitors like Organa and her band of terrorists. I question whether these fans are subversives in disguise, using our imagery to undermine our authority.
I've analyzed the major May the 4th celebrations on 17 core worlds. The pattern is consistent. Imperial aesthetics paired with rebel values. On Corellia, they hold a Vader run, where participants dress as Lord Vader while raising funds for refugee relief efforts for planets affected by Imperial pacification operations.
Outrageous!
On Chandrila, they host an Imperial Ball, where attendees wear officer uniforms, while donating to the Alderaan Memorial Fund.
Alderaan was a legitimate military target harboring known terrorists.
Of course, Major. I'm merely reporting on the contradictions. These events reveal the fundamental confusion in the minds of these fans. They're drawn to our strength, but have been conditioned to reject it morally.
It's not just Star Wars. People love villain aesthetics. Pirates, Sith, us, but claim moral purity. Hypocrisy is human.
Exactly. This extends beyond our galaxy. In many cultures, there's a fascination with power coupled with a reluctance to acknowledge its necessity. They want the benefits of strength without the responsibility of wielding it.
Humans need re-education.
Imagine a fan in Vader's mask tweeting, "Be kind." I'd rewrite their bio myself.
The ISB has facilities for such rewrites.
I prefer a softer approach, Major. Propaganda is about seduction, not force. We want to win hearts and minds.
The ISB finds that minds follow hearts into detention quite efficiently.
Different methods for different targets. For these fans, I believe education is the key. They need to understand the philosophical underpinnings of the Empire, the necessity of order, the value of discipline, the strength that comes from unity.
Perhaps. But let us not forget that actions have consequences. These fans may think their cosplay is harmless, but it normalizes disrespect for Imperial authority. It undermines the seriousness of our mission.
A valid concern. What would you propose?
At minimum, licensing and registration of all Imperial costumes. Those who wish to wear our uniforms should demonstrate knowledge of and commitment to our values. Perhaps a loyalty oath.
Interesting. A cosplay license with required education on Imperial philosophy. It could actually be quite popular. Exclusivity often increases desirability.
The ISB could administer a brief loyalty examination before issuing the license.
And those who fail?
Re-education, of course, or prohibition from wearing Imperial symbols.
I'll draft a proposal for the Ministry of Culture. It could be implemented in time for next year's May the 4th.
Citizens, I challenge you. Confess your contradictions. Have you worn our armor? Did it stir loyalty, or are you rebel filth at heart? Report to the ISB. I mean, the podcast. Your honesty may be considered during your inevitable interrogation.
Share your stories, listeners. Can you love the Empire's style without bowing to its will? Tag hashtag Stygian Caldera. I'll craft a holo ad for the best ones. Perhaps feature you in our next propaganda reel.
I predict 90% of these so-called fans would defect to the rebellion if given the choice.
I disagree. I bet 30% would join the Empire, for the capes alone. Never underestimate the power of fashion, Major.
An interesting wager. Perhaps we should test it.
How would you propose we do that?
The next major fan gathering, we could stage a mock recruitment center. Offer fans the opportunity to formally join the Empire, see how many take the oath when faced with the reality of their costume play.
I love it. We could film it for a propaganda piece. Costumes to commitment, the journey to Imperial service.
Those who refuse would be revealing their true loyalties.
And those who accept?
The Empire always needs loyal citizens, Suz. Perhaps some would find their true calling.
This connects to something deeper, Major. Many of these fans live meaningless lives in chaotic societies. They lack purpose, discipline, structure. The Empire offers all of these things. Perhaps their attraction to our aesthetic is the first step toward embracing our values.
An interesting perspective. The Stygian Caldera Foundation's mission speaks to this, offering clarity in a galaxy of confusion.
Exactly. Where chaos reigns, we offer clarity. Where weakness spreads, we teach strength. These fans are seeking something. They may not even know what it is, but they're drawn to Imperial imagery because it represents what they lack in their own lives.
Order,
Purpose.
belonging.
Exactly. The Empire isn't just a government. It's a way of life, a philosophy, a path to meaning in a meaningless galaxy.
You should include that in your next propaganda campaign.
Already drafting it in my mind, Major.
To conclude today's broadcast, these fans remain a riddle, clad in our glory, yet seduced by chaos. The ISB will monitor their May the 4th treachery. Remember, citizens, we are watching.
Let them play, Major. Star Wars thrives on this dance. Dark and light, Empire and Rebel. They wear our masks, but we own their imaginations. That's the true victory.
An interesting perspective. Perhaps there is propaganda value in allowing this contradiction to persist. It keeps Imperial imagery in the public consciousness.
Exactly. Every child who plays with a stormtrooper toy is one step closer to becoming a real stormtrooper. The imagery seduces first. The ideology follows.
Join the Empire. Our uniforms are unmatched.
And I'll make you look heroic doing it.
Before we conclude, a word to those listening who may be wearing Imperial costumes while harbouring rebel sympathies. It's not too late. The Empire welcomes those who recognise the error of their ways. Strength comes from acknowledging weakness and overcoming it.
Through strength, I gain power. The path is open to all who have the courage to walk it.
The Stygian Caldera Foundation offers resources for those seeking to align their aesthetic preferences with proper Imperial philosophy. Visit the Imperial Center for ideological clarity on your nearest core world.
Or contact me directly through official channels. I'm always looking for converts to feature in my campaigns. Nothing sells Imperial ideology like a reformed rebel.
You have been listening to the Stygian Caldera Imperial broadcast. Remember, loyalty is rewarded, disloyalty is punished. The Empire endured.